right, what's up, everyone? Joey Cage here, along with the old CJK, on a Saturday night where we decided to do the final Jeremy, I guess the Chronicles of Jeremy over time, and Chris had something to say, but where did we leave off last time, Chris?
We left off to I jumped time frames. We left off of where the conflict happened in July 2015.
That's
and
right.
Realizing why it happened. It wasn't, at the time, I was in a cloud of smoke. I didn't understand, and looking back on it, it makes all the sense in the world why it happened, but I just couldn't see it back then. And then I talked also about how sorry I felt.
Yeah, I remember that you were saying that it was really
It was her beef with Ceci playing out against us.
That's right. You were telling me about, you're like, now you see that, because they had it against each other. They let their influence on, mostly it was really Shannon, or was it that
It was mostly it was all
because she didn't like Ceci.
She didn't like Ceci, and she thought that Ceci was going to be out of the picture because of an incident that happened between Ceci and Jeff. And so when they ended up reconciling, and so I think she kind of just waited to pick her spot to do something, or maybe it's, I don't know, but
not my spot,
not your dog spot, not a dating spot, not a liver spot. But and then it played out, and I never saw it coming. I didn't think it would happen. I thought everything was fantastic, but and then I talked about how sorry I felt for her, because I know, knowing him and knowing how he could get, and knowing how emotional he can be, and how needy he can be. And
so you talk about that, and you had I remember I think it was the last one you had explained to me that when he had that one breakup prior, that he was kind of like real just down in the dumps, and you had showed up, right? You had showed up.
Yeah, that wasn't okay. So that was July 2010. It was 4th of July 2010.
So you knew him and what it was like when people were, women, I'm saying, or with him prior to her getting engaged in a relationship with him. So you kind of like understood, like you're like, well, if he did this before with somebody else, and it's the same, you start seeing the trends with people like
yes.
this. If someone can't keep a job, something like that. You
right.
just, like you understand that maybe. Yeah, that if you're not happy, you go to the next place. But if you've gone through 10 jobs, maybe you just need to fucking chill out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that was when we know what happened with him in 2004, and we know what happened, that incident, which by the way, after that incident, they continued dating another 4 years, and it was just this craziness.
Wow.
4 years of craziness. And
can't say I've done that.
This was just insanity. And I mean, like, I didn't see it at the time, but when I went there that day, I knew something was up with him facially. I just couldn't put it together. And then I would find out, I went to his 3 days later, I went to his apartment again, and he was arguing with her on the phone, and he put on speaker, and I just stayed silent because he wanted me to hear so that I would know
what it was like for him, what he was hearing.
And then I ended up hearing from her saying that. I just kept silent because she didn't know I was there. And I heard from her where she says, talking about putting a gun to your head and all this stuff over like an argument they had something. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, but I knew he was okay in that moment. So I kind of brushed it off and I let the thought go, and I moved on. But
so what do you know about that? Like, I mean, did he tell her that he was doing that, or what?
They got into some really bad argument, for the one of the million. And it got so bad because he had wanted her to come over to his parents' house to have some kind of breakfast on a Sunday that day, and she didn't, and it's that kind of, and it's just, it blew up, and then she broke up with him, or at least for the moment, and he said, that.
But when you heard that, you were like, you did that, Chris?
It was, yes.
You were like, whoa.
Yeah. And I did, but I mean, I knew that it's 3 days later, he's gotten over it. We went to a concert 3 days. We went to Nugent on July 4th. And so I was just like, okay, well, he's over it now. It just, you just try to expect that people will be better and you move on. But it's kind of like you're lying to yourself because they have this in them, but you're just hoping that maybe you're telling yourself they've overcome it. They won't be like that again. They'll be all right. And you're just trying to go about your life. And so we move on 4 years more of this, and then finally September of 2014 they have their big breakup. She kept him awake for 6 hours arguing with him.
How did she do that?
Because she was over at his apartment after we had a show September 6th, 2014 at Tonic. Well, now it's called Fuel, but it was called Tonic back then. And what happened was him and Gino, the famous Gino, there was someone outside who was doing like body painting and shit like that, and like body art and piercings and shit. And she did it to Gino, and then she wants Jeremy to be part of it too. And Danielle is like getting jealous about this, so then they go home angrily, and then they're arguing to get at his apartment till 6 in the morning. I mean, don't ever try to keep me up till 6 about anything. Fuck you. That's number one.
Yeah, I'm like, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, and especially when a guy like him who's beat because he's got 2 jobs.
I was gonna say he's always working. So
yeah, and so the weekend after that, I find out about this, and he's telling me about it, and he still will talk to her on the phone even after this happened. But he's like, we're not in a relationship. We're not even doing anything. But he'll have her over. They talk on the phone, etc., etc. So anyway, but we get on to now he meets Shannon in January. Well, he met her in December 2014, really. They start, making out and stuff at a show in January that I went to. This is when
she was just there to what's the story?
Okay.
I remember you saying something, but I just want to refresh my memory.
Shannon was Shane's friend. They knew each other from I don't know where.
Shane's the other brother, or who's Shane?
No, Shane is just a friend of Jeremy's.
Oh, okay.
At Harlan Park, and so Shannon is Shane's friend. They knew each other. I don't know how. I don't know why. And Shane was like, "Hey, you would like this guy. Y'all are a lot alike. Let me introduce you to come see his show, and let me introduce you to him."
Man, is Shane still around, or do you?
Oh yeah, he's still alive.
You must feel like shit, man, because it's like you.
I know him and Jeremy were like that for a long time, and so they meet, they start making out, and the night they did that show, this is mid-January or early January 2015. They go to the Mix, they do a show. This was their third show without me, and I went there and I would cheer for him and stuff like that. I'd hang out with him afterwards. And then Shannon comes over to him, and they meet, and they start talking, and they start making out, and then Gino's over at the bar and the pool table on the other side of the bar, and I go over to him, and he's like, "This is not good, man. I don't like this." I was like, "Well, what's wrong?" He's like, "He's talking to her. They're making out something. It's not good." Okay, so he's meeting a chick. I mean, he just broke up with Jordan.
Yeah. What was his problem with it?
And he's like, she has a boyfriend. She has this, and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. He's like, "I know her. It's just no good." I'm like, okay. Whatever. I'm happy for him.
So he knew her or something?
Gino had known her through a friend. Like he had met her.
Oh, okay, so
he didn't really know her, but he had met her.
So why was he like? He knew that she still had a boyfriend or whatever.
It just, there was something, just whatever it was, but he didn't like her.
Yeah. And
then it's the same thing here. Like when you get to the beef with Ceci and her, it's like when we had this practice over at Rick's one time, and we come home from the practice, and we go over to to Jeff's apartment, and we go in and we show Ceci what we recorded, for the practice, what we recorded at the practice, and then Jeremy calls me, and him and Shannon are on the phone talking to me like, "Hey, swing by," and so me and Jeff say, "Okay, well, we're gonna go over there and swing by and talk to him, hang out, whatever," and Ceci is kind of like not liking it, and I'm like. And now I didn't say anything to her, but Jeff's like, "Well, what's wrong with the baby?" She's all, "I don't like her," And he's like, "Babe, can't?" And he goes, "Babe, can't you be happy that he's found someone he likes?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "I know enough about her, that guy's."
So she knew her too.
She knew. Apparently, she knew things about her. I don't know what, but
everyone knew her, but Jeremy. Yeah.
And that's the thing. So I don't know, but it just now. When the marriage happened, like I liked Shannon from the get-go. Like we were buddies, and like I would call his apartment and forget that she was living there. And this is even before they were married. I called the apartment, forget she was living there, and I'd try to leave a message like I would usually do. And she would answer. We'd talk, and so we'd text, joking around and stuff like that. She said, "Hey, Jeremy got stung by a wasp the other day. He told me you're a big fan of wasps."
The band, yeah.
Yeah, stuff like.
Well, the thing that like I met her, of course, that one time at your wedding, and I guess it could rub people the wrong way because she's like to herself, and she's not like, and I'm like that too. Like I'm not gonna go out of my way unless I'm drunk, gonna say hi and all that shit. But yeah, she seemed real like just to herself, and hey, like that's it. And you're like, and sometimes, you know, people that they feel like they need all the attention. If someone doesn't kneel down to them, all of a sudden, I don't like that person, and like they want, you know, it turns into this competition. And some chicks are like that, some guys are like that, you know. It's like weird. But I didn't talk to her. I was just, you know, like I said, it was like, oh, you know, hi or whatever, because I was like, you know, meeting Jeremy, so I was like, dude, this here he is, you know. But I mean, like the way she was just quiet to herself. That wasn't there to, you know, for anybody else but her kid, you know, really, and Jeremy. And so, you know, I guess some people are like, if you're not giving them that attention, they may feel fucking like, oh, what, is something wrong with me? It's like, no, sometimes people are just quiet, you know.
She would be really, really, really nice and really, really cool with you once she knew you. So right on that. You know, as time went on, the incident between Jeff and Ceci happened, and we didn't know what was going to happen. We thought he was going to, you know, be done with her and move on, but they reconciled and he brought her back. Okay, and then I think that she was probably hoping it would mean. I think Shannon was probably hoping it would mean Ceci was gone. I think that's what I would assume was her intention, and it wasn't that. And we get to the marriage, the wedding, June 19th, 2015. I was there, Jeff was there, Shane was there, Ceci was there, everyone was there. Mr. and Mrs. Martinez, R.I.P. Mrs. Martinez, you know, and everyone was there, and it was cool. And from what I understand, Ceci told Shannon, "Hey, you know, I know we've had, you know, little differences in the past, whatever, but, you know, from here on out, we're sisters and I got your back." That's what I was told. Okay, cool. So now here again, I'm just giving a quick history to everyone who, if you don't remember the last one. So we go to, here it is, July 3rd, 2015. It's a Friday. It's the day before 4th of July. This guy, Louis, that Jeremy and Jeff know from Missouri, because they're from Missouri, if y'all don't know. He's in town, and we're all happy that he's in town, and we're going to hang out with him over at Jeremy and Shannon's apartment, have a little get-together, just listen to music, talk, watch TV, watch movies, maybe jam out a little bit on the guitar, you know, whatever, all kinds of stuff. And then I remember, I even rode with Jeremy and Louis to go to HEB to get one of those, you know, pre-wrapped pizzas.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, and Louis was so excited because we have those cinnamon horchata blue moon ales that, like, in Missouri, you can only get those in the variety packs. You can't get a 6-pack of them like you can here. So he was excited. He was buying up like 2 6-packs of them. And I ended up going...
with the dude.
Yeah. And I ended up leaving one for him over at the Mr. and Mrs. Martinez's house for him. And I messaged him, "Hey, did you get it?" He's like, "Yeah, I got it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, you know." And anyway, so we're there. We're all having a good time. We're laughing up everything. We're joking around. We're drinking, eating, whatever. Now, at this time, Shannon's a month and a half pregnant. 2 months pregnant, something like that. She had a glass of wine and a beer, to the best of my recollection. And which is a complete no-no altogether when you're pregnant, no matter what trimester it's in. Now, what's going to happen is early in the morning, Jeremy, Shannon, and then Jason and Chantel are going to leave to go to, I think, Rockport or Corpus or Port Aransas for the weekend, and then come back home on Sunday. Cool. So as I'm leaving, I step in to, you know, kind of do the, you know, and then bro hug with Jeremy, and Shannon steps in between us, and all 3 of us hug, and I walk out. So I'm feeling, hey, we're having a good time. It was a fun night, and now they're going to go out of town for the weekend, and I'm going to be with my dog in my mom's house, you know, house sitting while my mom's in Houston. Great. We're all happy. We're all just, like Jim Cornette said, we're a bunch of high school girls with shiny new vibrators.
Yeah, he always says that shit.
So, I spent my whole 4th of July eating hot dogs and watching the Rocky 5 marathon on TV. Or the Rocky Marathon TV, yeah. And it's great. And then the next day, Sunday, I went over to Mr. and Mrs. Martinez's house because Mr. Martinez and Jeff were barbecuing. And I went over for a few hours. And then after that, I went to Mark's. But what we noticed was, what we had noticed was that Shannon wasn't answering when we were texting her to ask her, because we thought they were going to come back in time to have the barbecue.
Yeah.
And finally, a late-ass response, we finally find out, thank you, that they were going to eat at Joe's Crab Shack in Corpus or somewhere.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we're like, oh, okay. But it just kind of felt weird that because she normally is quick to respond every time.
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you. And then?
So, great, and then I leave, and then I go to Mark's house on Sunday night, and then Monday comes around, and it's another work week, and you're not thinking anything other than the usual. Thursday, the 9th comes around. Thursday, July 9th, 2015. I'm driving to work. Everything's great. Tomorrow I'm off because I got this badass new schedule where I'm only Monday through Thursday. Nothing could be better. My life is so fantastic. Well, around 11:45 in the morning, I get this text from Jeff. Hey, we lost 2 likes on our page. And at first I'm like, okay, well, that can happen. I mean, maybe people unlike, maybe one person liked it, maybe one other person deleted their profile, and then you lose that like. I mean, that, it's only 2 likes. We have like 200 and something.
Yeah.
Big deal, right? But he wasn't dropping. He was like,
It seemed weird.
Yeah, for him it was a lot weirder than I was taking it. Well, then he tells me a little bit later, hey, you know what? I can't see Jeremy and Shannon on their pages. I was like, So I go on my Facebook on my phone. I can't find them. And every time I look for old posts where their names are tagged,
They won't pull up no more?
yeah, they won't. It's like the hyperlink part of it, the name is gone. So I'm like, okay, this is strange. So then I get on the Nationwide computers, and I try to just look for them on Google. And then I find them. Like I click on their names on Google, just
It shows up. Yeah.
and they show up. And I'm like, maybe Google's delayed, maybe Facebook's delayed. I don't know. Like I'm trying to give every reason why it's not as bad as we might think.
Yeah.
Well, then later on, I get out of work. I stop at the gas station. I call Jeff on the phone. Jeff calls me on the phone. He's like, hey, so guess what happened today? I said, okay, what? He said, hey, so I emailed Jeremy, hey, is the show, because we were supposed to do a show, and this was supposed to be Jeremy's last show. Because now the wife's pregnant, and he's got...
Right, yeah, you told me, you talked about that then, yeah.
Yeah,
They kicked y'all off the show.
He kicked us off the show. It was supposed to be Jano's Cantina, and he was the one who came to us asking us to do it. And I didn't want to at first. I forget what the reason was, but I didn't want to do it. And he just kind of asked us, and then me and Jeff were like, okay, we'll do it. So we said yes. Well, then that day, Jeff reached out, just because he's testing, see what's going on. Hey, is the show still on at J&O's on, I think it's the 18th? And Jeremy gives this robotic response. Pitchfork Mentality will be performing on July 18th at this time at J&O's Cantina, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then Jeff says, okay, cool. Do you still need us to be there? So, don't bother. And when I heard that, I was like, what the fuck? So I get over there, and Jeff had bought us all Bill Miller's, and I think Ceci hands me the gravy for my chicken strips, and I'm reaching across the table to grab it. I could see my own hand was trembling a little bit, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm giving myself away. Like, I hated that. And we didn't know what was going on, and just like, Ceci even told me, she's like, yesterday on the Wednesday, the 8th or whatever, she's like, I was talking to him in the hallway with our normal conversation. I normally talk to him, and he was telling me about the new shoes he bought, and he was telling me about this and that, And then she told me, but today I walked by him, I tapped him on the shoulder like I normally do. We wave at each other, he'll smile at me, whatever. But this time, he just gave me this cold gaze. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, you gotta understand, so this is so random for me because I've known the guy for 7 years at this point. I've never known him just randomly just pick a beef and not tell you why.
Yeah.
He hasn't called me. He hasn't told me anything. So, okay, so now we have our own show on Saturday, July 11th at Tonic, or now it's Fuel. And we go do it, and then when I get there, before we even go on stage, I get there, and Jeff pulls me aside, he's like, hey, I found out why Jeremy's mad at us. Okay, what's he mad at? And he's all, so he went to our mom, and he said that when we were over there on Friday with Louie, that we wrote a song about Shannon having herpes. And that we were singing over again, Shannon has herpes, Shannon has herpes, like a bunch of smart marks chanting, you know? And I'm like, what the? And then my immediate reaction, what the fuck? Like, where does that even come from? Like, he was there. He was sitting on the balcony watching us. Like, and Shannon was standing there too. She walked by us, but she didn't say anything. And like, if she had been mad, she would have blown up us right there, and Jeremy would have seen an argument, you know, through the glass door, the sliding glass door. You know, like, come on. And then she even hugs us before we leave. Where did she just go that whole week, and then suddenly on Wednesday night she goes to Jeremy and says, I need to tell you something. Hey, they sung this song about me, and I'm so depressed about it. Oh my gosh. So that starts there. And now I found out that Jason told him, because apparently Jason was at the house when Jeremy went to the house and told her this. And Jason says to him, nah. He's like, Chris doesn't joke like that. I don't believe that. There's no way he would do that. Like, he doesn't joke that way. He's not the kind of person like he's going to go insulting your girlfriend or something like that. Now, I know a few clowns that would do that, but I'm not one of those. So, it is what it is.
Your shoes are bigger.
Yeah. And redder. But anyway, so we go on, and finally we get to the 14th of July, a Tuesday, and I'm just like, you know, maybe this is fizzling down. I haven't heard anything from anyone. Maybe this is fizzling down. Maybe we'll all go back to normal. Wrong. 11:52 a.m. Shannon decides to text me and says, just so you know, Ceci's going around telling everybody that it was your idea to make that song and sing it about me. Okay, I didn't write any song. I've never written song lyrics. I've never done that. If anything, I've written bass lines that people then put a guitar to or put some drums to, but I've never written lyrics. Okay, go on.
Does anybody know if so Shannon was saying you and Jeremy or you and Jeff were singing it, but like did Ceci ever say anything to her, or I don't know, it just seems so weird. Either like one, Ceci was saying something to her, or two, Shannon just like to like make shit. I mean, I know people like that, you know, like I'm not gonna name any names, but there's people that'll make shit up just to like cause controversy.
No, I definitely don't believe Ceci did that. And Ceci was like begging me to believe her and all this stuff. And that's the thing, like Ceci
trying to turn everyone against each other type shit, right? Yeah.
But Ceci has no incentive to do that.
Yeah, no, I know it's not. But that's, you know, I agree with you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it just seems like somebody that was, they told one lie and now they have to keep telling different lies to try to, like, you know. Now that I hear the whole, you know, the whole deal, it's like, well, you have to make some shit up to get Jeremy mad. And then once he got mad, you have to like still cause an even bigger ruckus because you believe lie A, so lie B comes in here to where, oh, like, well, let me get to Chris now and tell him, so maybe you start saying like, I didn't, to make you to believe that you sang this song that no one sang, you know, and that you're like somehow like put you in this situation that never even happened in the first place. Right. You're like, why am I arguing my case when the case is like, it's all.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, and I mean, you know, you know, because you've joked around with him before, you've talked to him. Jeff makes jokes like off-color jokes. He does, but he never does it where he's trying to like genuinely insult someone, like really make, especially not his own brother's wife, make her feel bad. Especially when she's pregnant.
Especially when he was the one kind of like vouching for her to get, for everyone to like, hey, come on, he's happy. Let's get him, you know, to get along.
And especially when me, him, and Rick walked her to their apartment when she was so drunk, and we helped walk her to the apartment so she could get inside and go to sleep. Like we did that one time, and I'm not saying that's a barrier. I'm just saying like we cared about her. We all loved her. Like no one had any reason to hate her. But I think what happened was, I think she thought that it was going to end with Jeff, and I think that she thought, everything would be cool again. And then when she saw that Jeff wasn't going to do away with her, she tried to get at me to tear me off of Jeff. And I wasn't going to have that, and I just blocked them all on everything and just completely ghosted and stayed away. So then that's when, that whole night when they called, and then he called me.
So you have blocked him, and then he calls? Is that what it is?
I blocked him, and he called. I couldn't answer, but I also couldn't get him where he couldn't leave a message because my phone didn't. I had this crappy Droid, so he could I couldn't completely block him, so he could still leave me a voicemail.
Yeah.
So he left me that 37 seconds of just anger and rage, and I'm like, wow.
Did that happen all the same day when you left the message, or how long was it?
When he left me the message, that was Tuesday, July 14th. And that was when Shannon had been texting me.
But all the same day, or no?
Yeah, so Shannon texts me, and Jeff calls them, and then Jeremy calls me, and that's all on the same day.
Okay.
July 15th, or 14th. So I'm just like, wow, I can't believe that. That was such rage, that was such anger, and we didn't even do anything.
Yeah.
I was so not only scared because, here's a guy who, let me put it this way, bought a lot of firearms, and every time he would buy one, he would call me and tell me to come over to his house and check it out. I'm going to show you the ins and outs of it, I'm like, this guy owns a lot of firearms, and he's, we know that he's had a mental history with stuff, and,
No, I've been in a similar situation where you all know, I've told y'all, where someone supposedly texted me that I'm messing with somebody's girlfriend, and somebody just so happens to try to make me believe that this is like a reality, and I'm like, come on now, I'm not that stupid, dude. So to be put in that situation, it's like what's wrong with you? Because you're like, dude, I'm just chilling. You got if you have a problem, I'm sorry you do, but this isn't what's going on, and that's it. So I 100% understand going through that, because you're just there what? Okay, I guess you got something to sort out, but I'll leave you be.
Yeah, you're there living your life, minding your business, and out of nowhere comes this completely crazy thing.
Yeah.
It shook me to my core. It scared me to death, and I didn't know kind of how to respond going forward, and or what to do. And I literally thought, man, I was thinking to myself, if she loses that baby, he's gonna blame us for her getting so
upset,
mad, air quotes, about it, and then who's to say he doesn't come at me with a gun after that? I know these are crazy thoughts, but it's going through my head as this is going on. So I'm scared to death. I don't want to go anywhere. And, finally he calls me and leaves me a message and says, I'm sorry for getting mad at you, but come on. I'm not going to call you just because you call me and tell me to call you, and I'm sorry for being mean to you, and I don't have...
How long between those did that happen?
Okay, so the You're a Fucking Pussy, Chris, was Tuesday,
yeah.
And then Friday was when he called me to try to get me talking. And I'm thinking to myself, first of all, you shook me to my core. I don't want to talk to you right now. That's number one. And number two, if I talk to you, you're probably gonna expect an apology for what I did, and I'm not gonna apologize for something I didn't do. And so then you're gonna start going ballistic on me, and it's just gonna get worse. So why do I want to call you and talk to you?
Yeah.
And
once you're put in that situation, there's it's a lose-lose for you, because you don't know. If you believed A, B, and C, then D, E, F, G is not going to work, because you've already. All this is something that him and Shannon have kind of put in front of you, and now they're like, oh, sorry about that, and you're like, I don't want to deal with this shit no more. I got other things to worry about,
And now it gets worse, because here's what you don't know is that was Friday the 17th.
If you don't know, now you know.
No, that was Friday the 17th. So now we get to Sunday the 19th. So by the way, Saturday the 18th, they did that show without us. Okay, cool. We didn't go. I didn't go.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. And then Sunday the 19th, I go over to Mark's, and Ignacio was there. You remember Ignacio, Mr. How much do you eat to get that big?
He's talking to you.
So Mrs. Martinez calls me on my phone. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Why is she going? And I'm also thinking to myself, this might be Jeremy, but if it's Mrs. Martinez, I don't want to be disrespectful and not answer. So I answer.
Yeah.
And I walk outside Mark's house and I answer it and we start talking. She had me on the phone, I'm not kidding you, an hour and 20 minutes.
Fuck.
An hour and 20 talking.
What was she saying?
Talking about this situation. And just telling me about how crazy everyone's gone and how she knows I didn't do it. She knows Jeff didn't do it. She knows that she was telling me about what things that Shannon was telling her.
Yeah.
Like mean things about like when I have the baby, there's only going to be certain people in the room with me.
Wow. That makes me, like I hate to speak bad about someone that's passed away, but just hearing you kind of relay those things, it kind of like sounded to where, not that Jeremy had any right to do what he did, but it sounded like because he was, obviously if he had the problem before with the other chick, he was, had a weak mind, and you have someone like that can like really get into your head, like you like to say, that's a bad combination of people to be together, you know what I mean? Like where there's no way she deserved it at all, her or her daughter at all, but you can definitely see how that combination of someone that's vulnerable, like Jeremy, to where he let women and things upset him, and somebody that if she got away with doing that to y'all and doing all that shit, can you imagine now that the isolation's complete and it's just them two and the daughter, to where it's like, man, he I'm sure he fucking, if that other shit upset him, then there's something, again, not that it's justified, not saying that at all, but it's like, man, you can only imagine, because because I say that because there's no way my mom would call you or Mark about any situation other than me dying probably. So it's like, it's so strange that the argument that was that severe that she had to call you and had to, like, I guess really like just feel like, hey, I know this isn't going on, and like she actually had to talk about it, because can you imagine what she was hearing from her if she had an hour and 20 minutes to talk to you about that? Like, It must have been some crazy shit just for her to be like, hey, don't be this. We all know that what's going on here, that's kind of, I guess it felt good for you in a way to hear, like, okay,
It wasn't like I didn't want her calling me to talk about it. I was at Mark's with my 2 24-ounce cans to escape this bullshit.
Yeah.
And and then he have to talk about this on a Sunday afternoon.
They keep luring you into this thing that didn't happen. Yeah, that sucks.
And I'm just like, just let it be. And she's crying on this phone call, and she's telling me all these stories and stuff, and she's telling me about how, what had happened was it was her I want to say 67th birthday, I think, that Saturday night, and they were supposed to go to dinner, so they didn't, and then Jeremy had called her at 6:09 p.m. and showed up on the caller ID, but then he didn't leave her message, and then Shannon was like, well, you weren't there to answer the phone, and then she was like, look, because we were gone. We were out having dinner with Jason and Chantel, and we came back, and then, we didn't get home till 6:09, which is like right after y'all called, and whatever. So that was a factor in it too, and I was like, gosh, and she's crying, and there was more drama that happened between Mrs. Martinez and Shannon after that.
It just sounds like everyone had an issue with the same person,
I know, and it was where, like, she was telling me her and Pete, their dad, would wake up at 3 a.m. and just sit there and drink coffee and watch TV because they couldn't sleep because this whole family drama was stressing them out so much, and I just hated it, and I didn't know where a lot of things were going to go. I was a broken person. I felt like I've been so happy and go lucky and all this stuff, and now this comes and just shatters me.
No, I definitely, I feel that, man, exactly, because I know you're a guy that just likes to I talk shit because it's funny, but I know when you're happy, when you can just wake up, put on what you want to watch, and eat pizza. I don't need to do it. I don't need somebody to sit here, like, some people, they need that attention, right? I just want to sit here and watch TV and eat pizza.
Yes.
It's my Saturday. And like, I say that too because I'm like, the weather's nice, and today I got up and I didn't feel, as happy as I could have been, because I know what true happiness is, and I don't have that true happiness with me. So it's like, I know how that disruption in your life can be like, man, what the fuck? Everything was good.
Yeah.
Everything was good, and now this shit has to happen. So no, I definitely feel that. And like I said, I don't like to talk shit about someone that's not here to defend themselves, and we'll never know the story and shit, but it's just like, when consistently there's patterns, and we talked about it earlier, of hey, this is happening. It's like, it just sounds like, someone had some issues themselves too, and it was a bad mixture. You know what I mean?
I agree, and I do think also, I think probably she may have. I think ultimately, like, the majority of it was on him because, and not like I'm saying like he's evil or anything, but like he's a person who can get very worked up and very emotional very easily, and she's not like that. She's more of the, I'm going to see how I can play the game with people.
No, yeah, no, exactly. It takes two to tango, and like that's a bad combination with somebody that feels like they have the power to be able to manipulate somebody. Not that happened, but if you're lying to Jeremy in the first place about what happened between the guys, y'all, and then you're calling the mom, and the mom's telling you, I know this didn't happen, and it's like, well, why is everybody fighting them?
Yeah.
It just sounds like I don't think Jeremy made it up and said this stuff. So there was that one force that was pushing for it and wouldn't let it go. And it's just like, hey man, everyone just wants to be cool. Everyone was cool before, and like all of a sudden now that camaraderie, we're all friends. Can you imagine if like I had somebody that just all of a sudden came into my life and started saying, oh, you can't be, that guy Chris, he's a piece of shit. Someone did actually try that, but they said Mark was a piece of shit. They don't like me hanging out with Mark because, and it's just like, come on, man. Like I've Mark's the smartest guy I know besides Chris, dude, but he's wise, he's wise enough to tell me the stuff I don't want to hear. And it's like, he's been right every single time with all that bullshit. And it's like, you need those kind of people in your life, and I feel bad that that's what I had mentioned it too. I said I kind of feel bad that Jeremy didn't have like a way to contact him really on the regular, because you need, like, even me, I talk all this shit, but I'm not claiming to be this wise person. But I do claim is that you need people to talk to when things are going on, and I don't think that fool had anybody to talk to say, hey McFly, you have to fucking wake up, because sometimes you get lost in the bullshit. Sometimes you get lost in the bullshit and you feel like you're alone. It's like, you're not alone, dude. Just because, someone leaves you, or willingly or unwillingly leaves you, life's not over for you yet. You just have to, there's still a reason to live, and it's like, it's horrible,
right.
That somebody felt that there wasn't,
Right, no, it is, and knowing him, he's always been such a social butterfly. I even know the stories from when he was in middle school and high school. He probably, in the separation period, which I'm assuming that probably began around me and Mark's birthday last year. Probably.
That's right. So you would see stuff about it?
No, I didn't, but I went through my burner. I went on Facebook after the deaths, and I went on her page, and I noticed that there were no pictures of them together after, like, me and Mark's birthday last year.
Yeah.
And I noticed too that, like, she said it said separated, which I think that happened in February, that she changed that status. So I think
and the thing is too is that people usually, there's months of build up before that too. So it's because it's like, you say October or whatever. It probably was 2 or 3 months prior to that, to where it was getting pretty bad. To where, you know what? Now I'm gonna twist the knife and actually post about it, because why do you really need to post about shit like that? You know what I mean? Unless you want to play mind games and and like that's why I say, like, oh, she knew what buttons to push with them. Again, not that it's justified. It's just two people, two different personalities, and there's some people that are very weak-minded. That they let shit like that get to them. Like with me, with a certain jackass that thought his selling an arcade cabinet was bigger than me losing. So I was like, what? And then, like, try to argue with me about it, and I was just kind of like laughing. I'm like, man, first of all, you treat your parents like shit, so why am I going to take anything that you say seriously? Like, if you, like, not just hate or talk shit about you, but really want to stop them to the ground and, pretend like you're this fucking marvel of a fucking artist and all this other stuff, it's like, you need a reality check. And me telling you need one is not going to change shit. So it's like, I just need to get the fuck out of this situation. You know what I mean? And that's what I did. And it's like, I was like, there's no helping this fool, and that's the way. Some people like they can't let go. Sometimes they feel like they have to keep on trying. It's like, and so in some situations, yeah, sure, but in most of them, if somebody can't, if you see like I say, the trends, it's like. I know it's easy for another guy to tell another guy that his chick is not good for him, and I'm sure Jeremy wasn't good for a lot of chicks too. Like that kind of guy needed somebody that was going to be, just true, and honest, a rose, if you will, not trying to play any games, and we all know like 95% of I'm not going to say chicks or dudes, but people in general. They've got their, if they can deceive you and they can do their own thing, they're going to do that shit or whatever. And
this thing, so I think, I don't want to say, Jordan had her issues too, but I remember, so one time, this is probably, this was right around the time that incident happened in May. We had a show. It was Pitchfork Mentality, VOPB, and War on Sunday. And we were advertising the show on social media, and then Jordan goes on there. Jordan and Jeremy had been broken up 6 months by this point, or 5 months. And then Jordan replies to War on Sunday. Her name was Audrey. This was the chick. Okay, so you remember Nick Martinez, the drummer? This was his ex-fiancée, but they were together at the time. And she's posting about it. Now, she's friends with Jordan. And now Jordan goes on her post and puts the throwing up emoji. And she goes, and then I just thought, what's wrong? And she goes, girl, Pitchfork Mentality, I'm sorry I have to play with him. If you knew the insanity I had to deal with.
Why would you post that? Why would you reply to that? Like, you saw someone in private. Like,
no, I know. It's like
they want to put on the show and let everyone see.
And she's the one. And this is the thing. This was another reason I was so mad at Jeremy after this incident, was because I happen to know when Jeremy and Shannon first got together. They've been together a month. They went to Lion and Rose Pub was like his favorite place to go, and it was pretty cool. We got started at Lion and Rose Pub doing open mic nights. And they were there eating, and then Jordan is there with her little buddy.
Jeremy and Shannon
are there eating, and Jordan and her friend, I think her name is Crystal, but she goes by her stage name Kiko, and so Jordan and Kiko are there, and then Jordan walks right up to them and in the middle of it starts yelling at them for like the whole restaurant to hear. Starts yelling at him. Well, then the manager makes her leave. Jeremy pays the bill, and then they go outside, and Jordan's tire, because she has to go to a gig, her tire is flat. So Jeremy offers to help her change the tire. And I'm like, so you're at a restaurant, someone walks up and starts yelling at you in front of your new significant other, and you'll help change your tire, but the guy you've been friends with 7-8 years, you hear one rumor from this chick, and right away I'm Satan.
Yeah, it sounds like...
It was hurtful. That was really hurtful.
No, for real, no. That's a hell of a fucking tale, man, to go through all that. Because I know, we're talking about, the experiences, and we talk about, their relationship. But just hearing it, I'm like, man, it must have really took a toll on you too mentally. Because that sucks to have to go through that with friends. Because after that, then you're like, I kind of understand now why. You're always kind of cautious when someone has a reaction to something because, I already went through shit with this motherfucker. Is this motherfucker that, gonna do this, that, or whatever? Because I think about that for myself when I've gone through certain things and I'm like, man, I don't want to carry on that burden of, you're always A, B, C, D because of this happened and this happened. Like some people, they'll let, I'm a lot, different of a person now than I was 10 years ago. And for the good and the better, for the good and the bad, to where you're like, man, dude, you're like, it's easier to get under my skin nowadays, but it's also easier for me to just let go and just say, okay, this is bad. Let me get the fuck out of the way, So it's one of those things. Like now, because you went through that, do you feel like you've gotten kind of a different perspective on situations now? Because I would assume you would think about shit like this.
Yeah.
I don't know, consciously, but maybe subconsciously, you're like, oh fuck, you know.
Anytime you go through drama with people, to be honest with you, it makes you more cautious with the next person. I will just tell you that, and it makes you afraid to really engage with people and be close to people, whatever, because you've been through that. And so my thing was, after this happened, I remember after that whole, you know, birthday weekend for Mrs. Martinez drama, you know, and all that stuff, and her calling me. After that weekend, we were recording over that Mike Martinez guy's house, and after that we were done, and me and Jeff were outside talking, and I was like, man, how's this gonna go? What are we gonna do? All this stuff, and I'm putting all my fears on the guy's younger brother, you know, and you know, that's, you know. And he's like, dude, you know, it's really not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. We just need to keep our distance. We'll hang out with him. And this is what he told me. He said, we'll hang out with him again. We'll all be cool with each other again, but just right now, just keep it a little distance. That's all.
Yeah, because it's his brother, so of course he feels that way. That, you know, brothers fight, family members fight, but you'll get over it. It's like, it's different than when somebody else, like from you, like even though y'all were good friends. How long did you know him from the moment y'all met till he?
Jeremy, I met him in, I want to say the first time I really interacted with him was late August 2007. And then the first time I ever like called him to try and hang out or something like that, because he had given me his number at work, that was like probably late September of 2007. Yeah.
So a long ass time.
Long time, yeah.
But I mean, there was times where y'all didn't talk for like how long was it when y'all didn't talk? I mean, until when you talked?
From July 2015, and I didn't interact with them in any way, shape, or form again until it was the Friday before Labor Day. I think it was the Friday before Labor Day of 2019.
Oh, it's been a good while.
It would have been a good while, and the thing is like once we get to 2018. And I saw Mrs. Martinez was like, so at the wedding, she was showing me all these pictures of Jeremy with the baby, the kid, and all that stuff, 3-year-old, and all that stuff. And she said, I love her so much. She's so beautiful, and all this stuff. And she cries whenever Jeremy's at work, and she doesn't get to see him, and all that stuff. And I'm like, wow. And
does she keep in touch with you in between all that shit, or no?
Mrs. Martinez? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I saw her several times in the interim period. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they would go over to Jeff's house. They would, you know, whatever.
And when between all that shit happen, did Jeff ever bring up Jeremy, or did he?
He did a few times. And
how long was it before him and Jeremy got along again?
When they reconciled was, I want to say it was like March, April 2018.
So a few months after, well, like almost a year, I guess. So it was a little bit less than that. Because you said July
of 2015. So now almost 3 years later it takes.
Oh, so 15. So they didn't talk again till.
No.
No, I'm talking about Jeff, because you said the shit happened in July of 2015, and then it was March, so it's like from like almost a year, because it's like 3 months.
Well, March 2018. Because you're talking like
Jeff and him,
like, well, I'm talking about normal relations again.
But yeah, when did they talk or see each other?
Well, yes. So that's where I'm saying. So, after 20, like I want to say Thanksgiving and Christmas 2016, they did see each other at their parents' house, and they talked a little bit, whatever.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is because so you remember the infamous December of 2016? That's when a certain fake profile named Jan Perez started showing up. And
no wonder you thought that shit, because it was around that time that they were okay.
So yeah, so that's the whole thing. So this Jan Perez profile, and like it likes one band, Pitchfork Mentality, that profile, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then it's using Chris, the Selena husband that looks like Jeremy. It's using him as the profile pic, and then it messages me, "Why'd you block me? I want to talk man to man." And I'm like,
so stupid.
And I'm like, by this point, I'm thinking to myself, there should not be this issue between us. It's been over a year. But it was crazy. And so the whole time that this is going on, like a year and a half later, we had done a show. VOPB had done a show in early November of 2016. And I went all the way past the new year not seeing the guys again. And I didn't want to talk about it on Messenger or on text. I wanted to talk about it in person. Like I didn't want to talk about it in text. I want to talk about it in person. So there were all these times that I thought I was going to run into Jeff and talk to him, bring this up, show him the screenshots and all this stuff. And you don't think that's it? I was going to have that conversation, and it never happened. And finally, my breaking point was that 2 days before Christmas of 2016, I'm like, I'm getting off everything. Don't anyone reach me. I'm going to take fucking Krav Maga, and God help me, whatever happens. I'm just scared to death at this point. I don't know what to do. And finally, I see Jeff at a practice in January something 2017, because we're getting ready to do this one show, which got canceled, by the way, because the venue got booked for a birthday party. And it's interesting how that works. And I said to him, hey, let me show you something. I showed him all the Jan Perez conversations that Mark had, that I had, all the screenshots, everything. I said, you don't think this is Jeremy, do you? And right away, his answer was, nah. And then his follow-up to it was, if it is him, he's the most pathetic person alive, because he's married, he's got a kid, he's got 2 jobs. Why would he have time to do all that?
Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, he's not really on the internet a whole lot anyway, for the most part. He's going to go through all this other trouble.
Right, and like the kind of things that the Jan Perez page was doing, you would have to have a smartphone to do. You can't only have a computer at your house when you're home, the 3 hours a day you're home. You know? Yeah,
exactly, that too, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that, you know, when he told me that made me feel better. But it's like, okay, now what? But I'm still like, for me, I remember what happened a year and a half before, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go running to Jeremy to be his friend again. Like, I'm gonna be led into this when it's meant to be, it'll happen. I need to tell you a story before that, though, before the Jan Perez shit. This is actually even before 2016. In September 2015, we thought the July 18th show was going to be their last because the baby was about to be born, etc. Well then, what happened was there was a gender reveal party for the baby. And then after that party was over, he goes to this bar, amazingly not too far from my mom's house, this bar. Sees the War on Sunday people, and they invite him to do a show on September 25th at J&O's. And he does it. So then I wake up Monday morning. It's the day before I move into my first ever apartment. And I wake up and it says Facebook user, because I had him blocked. And he's sending me an invite to that show. And then he sends me another message, but it's with a different color scheme on it of the same ad for the show. Okay, great. I thought you were done. And I'm not talking to you, and you need to move on with your life, and I'll move on with mine, and leave me alone, you psycho. That's what I'm thinking of myself. This is 2 months after the big blow-up, mind you. So then finally, he sends us this. Oh my gosh. Let me find it. What is Mark doing? Oh, load, damn it, load. Okay, here we go.
We have a podcast going.
I know we do. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find this fucking... For those of you listening, I'm looking for a message, and this is really amazing and really interesting, and I just can't believe that someone would actually do this. So, here we go. Look at that. That's what he sent me. He sent it to me the first time, and sent it to me the second time. He didn't send it to me. He sent it to our page. That's what it was. But because I had him blocked, it wouldn't let me see the name.
At almost at 1 a.m. on September, and then again in another night 2 days later. Well, and then he messaged, hey, you'll need to come check out the enhancer. He make you jizz your pants. I'll make a deal if y'all come out and support Pitchfork Mentality. We, Pitchfork Mentality, come on support you guys on the 18th of October. But only if you come. He's so fucking funny, dude. It's like, Like, come out here, but we'll go over there, but you need to come over here like first. Like, maybe if y'all's show was first, you know, maybe because you know how he is with the ultimatums and shit.
I didn't want to. I didn't care. I didn't care if he was going to bring 1,000 people to our show and make us rich.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be around him. He had broken my trust to that degree that I couldn't trust being around him. So I didn't want anything to do with him, no matter what. Like, he could walk up to me and hand me a check for $1 million. I'll skip the million.
So we're coming up on 50 minutes now.
Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, it's not me. It's, you know, what you know, to get to the reconciliation.
We're trying. Well, I want to say. So what he did there, and this is one of the things that made me keep delaying, because where he worked, you're not allowed to have paper. It's a secure room like where I work, where you can't have paper, you can't have pens, you can't have cell phones. So he was so excited about this last show that he goes to the company printer, prints out flyers, goes around handing them out to people inside the secure room. Damn near loses his job when he's got a baby on the way. And I'm like, I'm at this point, I'm thinking, I was like, you're a fucking psycho. So, again, but we get to the reconciliation. So at this point, January 2017, Jeffrey assures me it's not him. November 2018, the wedding. I see Mrs. Martinez. She's so thrilled about her granddaughter and all this stuff. And this is when she told me that Jeremy was paying $900 a month for daycare. I'm like, fuck, that's a lot of fucking money. And I'm just
dude, that's a fucking rent payment back then.
Shit. Yeah, and I'm like, gosh damn. So at this point, and mind you, 8 months before that, March. No, not 8 months before. 4 months after that, March 2019. We're having practice. And Rick says to Jeff, hey, when's the last time you talked to your brother? And I'm like, and Rick would do that. Like, he would bring up Jeremy, like, out of the blue for no reason. And I'm like, I'm sitting, you motherfucker. Like, I'm thinking that. So then Jeff says, oh, yeah, I saw him the other day. We talked to him.
Did Rick know anything that happened with all that shit?
Yeah, we told him, but he kind of, like, thought it went away before it really did. He didn't really know the afterwards. So then I started hearing about how they hung out. He went to his house, and he said, I told the guys, I told Jason, and I told Jeremy, I was like, we got to come together, all of us, because, one of these days, it's going to be just us. Mom and Dad aren't going to last forever. So one of these days, it's going to be just us. We need to be strong together. So I was like, okay, you know what? This is it now. I'm going to eventually see him again. We're going to talk again. I'm not going to force it, but whenever it happens, it happens. And it happened 5 months later. And I got invited to go watch that Nathan guy, that Tool APC tribute. We went to go see that, and then Jeff tells me, hey, Jeremy's going to be there. Oh, wow, okay. So I'm in, but at the same time, I'm having these nerves like, this is going to be the first time in 4 years I've seen this guy, talk to him, whatever. And I had to have a couple drinks before I went there. You just know I did. I had to do 2 hours of QVC because I had that stupid ass QVC bullshit where, they wouldn't let you have a set schedule. They made you pick hours here and there.
Yeah.
It was so fucking stupid. And I get out, and me and Rose drove over there, and I had my beer and my 2 shots. I'm like, all right.
Did you tell Rose before you went? What was the story?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Okay, here we go. So then they're already in there because they got there fucking early. But we're waiting in the line to get in and pay our cover charge stuff. So through the gate we're talking, through the chain link gate we're talking.
Who?
Me, Jeremy, Jeff. They're Jeremy.
So what does he tell you when you first see him?
Oh, he's like, hey, what's like the first thing he said? I'll tell you, the first thing he says to me is, you haven't aged a day.
Yeah.
That was, I'm not kidding. That was the first thing.
You're like, ditto.
And then he didn't either. The only aging he ever did was that one little strip of gray right here, and that's it. That is the only aging ever on that guy. It's funny, I remember Phil used to tell us, this guy we worked with, he was this old Vietnam veteran guy, he was like, shit, Jeremy looks 19 years old, what the fuck?
Yeah, I always figured he was 43. I was like, man, that dude always looked the same age, like, since I'm sure he was in his 20s. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so we're there, and then he meets Rose. He's like, hey, Jeremy Martinez, nice to meet you. And then we went in and talked from there, and then I went out to the area. We're all there. Jeremy's there, Nick Martinez is there, Jeff and Rick are there, but me and Jeremy are talking politics, and it was cool to see that we agreed on so much. And I told him, yeah, I wasn't originally a Trump guy, but he won me over because he's doing libertarian things. And we just kept going from there. And then, after that, slowly, the next time I saw him was a couple months later. We exchanged, he always had the same phone number, but I gave him my new one, and then I unblocked him and stuff like that. And then we just went from there, we started talking. And that's how that happened. And, I actually, it got to the point where Jeff said to me, hey, could we do a show with Pitchfork? And I said, yeah, that's fine. So then he asked me, hey, can you go to Tonic when you get out of work and just ask him, to book Pitchfork on the show? I drove over there, I talked to the guy, and he said, yeah, no problem. So, when that happened, you remember you're all like, oh, Chris doing a show with Pitchfork. I was like, yeah, we're doing a show. I'm the one that booked it.
Well, I guess we'll talk about, because this went longer than we expected. I guess we'll give it a part 5 here soon. So any closing words on the last show or how that went before we go?
It went good. I saw him the next day.
Did y'all party that night together or no?
No, we went home. They with the baby, they have to. They are not the baby, but the kid. They have to get home. They have restraints on themselves too, and then he has to work so much and everything.
Yeah.
But no, the next time I ever went to his apartment and really was up midnight or so with him was in March of 2020, right before the lockdowns happened.
Okay. So we'll leave y'all with that one. We are definitely going to do a part 5 because we got super more in depth than the prior one. But yeah, we'll hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.
That mother strong.
That mother